urban style individual.
What's up with y'all? Hopefully this video finds you in good spirits, and if not, well, at least you not DSP. And you know, it's so important that you do your best to control the things that you can control, because sometimes life will throw you a curveball and you'll be put in a situation where you're forced to react. But if you've been on top of things the way you should be, it will be just a slight inconvenience opposed to world ending, and you'll have no issues reestablishing order. And this is a concept that's so far divorced from Phil's mind that he can't even fathom it. And this is why he struggles with the most basic of things. So let's get into it.
What's happened in the last month is I put in a lot of time and effort into using that temporarily bump to do as much as I possibly could while I could before we kind of get back to normal business. And what that means is until we get back to the regular streams, the regular stuff, and I'm trying to improve it.
Now, you notice from the onset, he said he put a lot of time and effort from that bump. Now, we know when he's talking about that bump, he's talking about a financial bump. So he put a lot of effort into buying things. Now, what does that consist of? You going on Amazon and reading a review? Like, it's just hilarious to me what he considers quote unquote effort.
As much as I possibly can. As you know, I bought a ridiculous amount of new hardware, multiple monitors, arms, microphone improvements, an audio interface, new keyboards, new mice, new everything.
And not a single therapist, not one AAA meeting, not a psychiatrist, like nothing. None of the things that you actually needed to make your content better is better for you. But what does it do for the viewership?
Right? And it's great. Like, my setup is ever improving. I mean, every week I'm adding a few new things. I'm tweaking a few new things, and it's making the content better in the long run. It really is. But at the same time,
what he really did was spent a couple $1,000s to move his chat closer to his face. He also spent a couple $1,000s to get a mic that he did not need, that's actually more intrusive to the frame and gives a marginal increase in audio quality to the point where it's not even worth talking about. So who really did he do this for?
it's been stressful. All right, it has been. It's been very stressful because I'm trying to basically juggle my regular streams with my real life while also doing all this other stuff in between. And all of it is time. Okay, I just want you to understand, like, literally all of it is time investment.
So who is this for, Phil? Because you often talk about branching out and trying to get more viewership. So that means you're trying to appeal to normal people. So people who are not regularly watching you. Those people have jobs. Those people are going on 8, 10, and 12-hour days oftentimes. So when you talk about having technical issues behind the scenes in your spare bedroom, you're not closing the distance between you and them. You're making it much bigger.
Simply just looking for stuff that I need to buy or whatever, to get it in here, to get it working with the setup, to mess around with settings. Oh, well, does this work? Does that work? You know, it.
You hear what he said? Just searching what to buy. So like I said, him getting on Amazon and reading the review and making sure it's compatible is somehow to him back-breaking work. And again, Phil, who do you think this is going to appeal to? My goodness.
It's time consuming. And I'm having a lot of time right now. Like, my time crunch is a big problem where I want to get out of here so I can go spend time with my wife, and I get stuck. And then, you know, we suffer for it. And that's not fair. That's not fair to my wife because she deserves to spend time with me. And
so what he's saying is he's put in all this effort and you have not given him money for it. And because of that, his personal life has gotten worse, and that's somehow your fault. You see how everything's tied to money? Because I guarantee you, if he got the money that he was looking for, he would not be having this conversation. Now, all of a sudden, he has to tell you every little technical kink that he ran into and try to act as if he was trying to mount Mount Everest or something. This is basically what he's doing. He's turning on the shame once again so he can tap into their psyche. I would have a much better life if you would just give me the money.
it's not healthy. You need to have a work-life balance. You really do. You have to understand that in life, you have to have that separation. It can't just be all of one thing all the time. And that's why when people ask me, well, Phil, you're a gamer, right? So you must play games when you're off stream. I do not, because I spend so much time in this studio streaming I don't want my life outside of the studio to be exactly the same thing. It would actually be so permeating to my life that my whole life is games that I get tired of it.
So you choose to do the inverse. You're going to bring your personal life to the streams. You do this all the time while claiming that you're not, because what you're essentially saying is, I'm going to give you some insight into how hard this is to justify why you should have given me money, because you don't know how much time I put in. And how dare you not give me money when I could have been drinking gin or playing WWE Champions, but I had to put that aside for an hour or two so I can put this countdown together. That's basically what he's saying.
So outside of this room, I don't really game. And that's a good thing. That's a good separation that I need. But what's happened is in the last month and a half since the Asmongold interview, there's been a lot of people bringing stuff up. For example, Phil, I've noticed you don't really clip your content, right? Like you do a podcast, but you don't have excerpts or segments taken out that are uploaded to your channel. That would really benefit you, Phil, if you did that. Fair enough. We talked about this a few weeks ago, that maybe hiring an editor or something like that, right, to do that for me would probably be a big asset. The problem being, how do I trust anyone?
Now, I want you to look at how he's going to try to frame this. Instead of framing it like him being lazy, because that's what the actual issue is, he's going to frame it as a trust/detractor issue, when the truth is Phil doesn't need an editor. He can do this all himself, but he's acting like his workload is so big that he couldn't possibly pull out a clip to put on his own damn channel. Just listen.
When I have, people who have literally sought employment at an ISP, then use their job at the ISP to log into my modem, shut down my streams, and change the name of my wireless network to be something like Phil is a pedophile, so my neighbors saw it, okay? If they go that far, what's to make us think that I wouldn't hire an editor who would mess with me? You know what I'm saying? I'm giving them access to all of my content, my channel, and all of that. That's an insanely risky venture, and that's also a lot of trust.
See what I mean? Now, Phil's acting as if there's not official channels that you can go through to actually hire an editor, because they are, and he knows that. It's just, again, this boils down to an effort issue. He wants his audience to believe that he can't do it because of big, bad detractors. And the issue with Phil is always effort, something he has complete control over, but he just leaves it on the table because for the longest time, they've been okay with slop. Now, every now and then, they get tired of the slop, but that's all Phil's ever been making. So when they desire something else, he doesn't know what to do.
To put into someone, right? And so, I dabbled in, maybe I could do my own clips or whatever, but already, for those who don't know, I do all my own recording. I do all my own, stream archiving. I do all the thumbnails myself.
Now, you see how he listed those things off? Because what Phil was trying to do is make it seem as if what he's doing, he has a ton of workload in front of him, when the truth is uploading a video and a stream being archived is essentially the same thing. In fact, once you do a live stream, YouTube will archive the live stream for you automatically if it's under 12 hours long. So that's not even a step that he actually has to take, even though if he did, it still wasn't anything crazy. But he'll sit here and lie to your face and act as if that's something that he has to do.
Yeah, it's all me. All right. I will say there is one or two people who behind the scenes help me with a few little things here or there. And I'm very appreciative of that, for people who make me artwork, for people who help me every once in a while with some editing problems and things like that. But for the most part, it's all me. So it's not just what you see publicly here on the stream. It's also all the work I'm putting in behind the scenes every day.
Yes, Phil, but all this stuff is implied. People don't need you to run down a list of the things that you're doing. People understand that there's things that need to happen behind the scenes before they can ever see it in front of them. This is not a concept that you need to break down for adults. I'm not sure who this is for.
It's very time consuming. And the thing is, I've definitely gotten better, all right, at all of this. That's for sure. Like in the last year, I've actually gotten really good at hammering out quick thumbnails. And I know they're not the best quality, but they're still pretty good for the fact that I have no training or whatever. And I'm just whipping these out on the fly every day right after a stream ends.
Did you hear what this man said? This man is 18 years deep, and he wants credit for being able to bang out a thumbnail, something he learned in the last year, even though he didn't have any formal training. So how many content creators out there went to Thumbnail University? Any of y'all got a 4-year degree in thumbnail creation? Any of you go somewhere and enter into a trade that I'm not familiar with that you can get a certificate for thumbnail creation? And then when you look at his thumbnails, they're absolutely horrible. They're complete low quality garbage. All it is him slapping some letters over top, whatever happened, and the logo for the game. No real creativity, no real him trying to present it in a certain type of way to make it interesting. It's just, this is what happened. Here you go. No intrigue whatsoever.
But I just don't have time to sit here after a stream that's already 5 hours and say, well, now I'm going to spend another hour or two clipping out the highlights, titling them, making thumbnails, putting those on the channel, or getting a second channel and putting the content over there. I feel like if I had that, the Asmongold bump would have been a lot more long lasting. And you would have had an audience that's used to that formula from him, who would have now jumped into my content, who would have loved it.
This is foolishness. You really believe that you lost the Asmongold viewership because you did not become a carbon copy of him? That's a very archaic way of looking at this. I guarantee you, if you go look at the people who watch Asmongold, look at their YouTube channels. They probably sub to all type of people who are doing all type of things all over the world. They're watching tons of different content, and that's the reason why they're no longer watching you, because when they put you up against the catalog that they already have, you just can't compete.
The problem is I'm a one-man show. I'm not Asmongold, who has people working for him, doing this shit for him. I'm not someone who gets 40,000 viewers on a stream where I'm rolling in dough, and it doesn't matter if I take extra time out to do that shit. I have to be here to make a living. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's me. That's my work ethic. That's how I'm successful.
So when you were, quote unquote, rolling in dough with the Asmongold money buff, or even with the Kino Casino money buff, why didn't you hire an editor then? Because this is something that people have been asking you for the longest time. Not just your old dents, but it appears some of your new dents as well. But again, Phil's solution to the problem is to just beg you for more support. He's not going to give you anything. And that's something that you didn't need to understand. You'll get temporal attention if he feels like it, but anything beyond that, it's not going to happen. I don't care what he tell you in them discords.
So yeah, it is frustrating when I know I had opportunity in the last month and a half to maybe do things a little differently, and it definitely would have benefited long-term, but I really didn't have the means. And I hope you understand that. It's not that I don't want to change and do more things. I just don't have the time. I'm a one-man show.
That's exactly what it is, because Phil has opportunity after opportunity. You can make your own schedule. You spend countless hours every week, cumulatively every month, wasting people's time on your so-called level 1 podcast. That's time that you can be making sure your tech is ready. That's going to be time you can spend on formatting, pacing, putting together a show, actually having bullet points, actually covering news for the purposes of what your podcast so-called was made for. But all your podcast now is a therapy session. You self-soothing about the bad things that happened the day prior. And it's not content, Phil. And it's baffling to me that after all these years of you being in this industry that you think it is.
I always have been. And it's insanely hard for me to be able to try to put trust or anything into someone like that, simply because there's so many people who over the years have messed with me or are right now at this very point looking to mess with me. Okay?
So basically what he's getting at is, look, I can't do anything outside of sitting in this chair and begging you for money. So if you ask me to change my formula even a little bit, I'm going to spend a million years telling you why I cannot do it, opposed to spending that time trying to do what you ask me to do. Now, this is something that's been a mainstay in Phil's character for a very long time. Y'all remember the so-called suggestion box? Whatever happened to that? Remember all the toxicity that used to come out of those segments? And I got more on that later.
So all that going on, all that going down, right? Basically what happened this week is essentially all of that kind of boost that I got from the Asmongold stuff is basically over with. Let's be honest here, okay? There are new viewers who are here. The engagement is actually higher than it used to be, and I appreciate that. I really do. But at the same time, yeah, it was inevitable that it was going to take probably about a month for it to peter out, and it has.
Isn't it funny how Phil will make a declaration about something but he's always the last one to know what's going on, even on his own damn channel. Him announcing that the Asmongold bump is gone, Phil, the Asmongold bump has been going for like a month now. What are you talking about?
We are now in about mid-January, and my levels are about back to where they were, which I always knew was going to happen. The good news is, unlike with the whole last arc that happened, this hasn't left a group of toxic people behind. In this case, the Asmongold crowd are a good crowd of gamers who are of like mind with me, who like me and my content. And so those who stuck around are not, oh, we hate Phil. It's the opposite. Like, oh, we actually like Phil and we're happy that we found him and that he's in the algorithm again.
You have a very twisted way of looking at this, because you can talk about the Kino Casino and their holdovers, but guess what? At least they're showing up to your streams. I mean, you might not like the things that they're saying, but at least they're showing up. The Asmongold viewership is completely gone, Phil. Completely gone. And what you didn't understand is what they were giving you was based on pity. It wasn't based on them actually being entertained by you. Some of them actually got more entertainment out of trolling detractors for giving you money. But even that got played out after a little bit. And in the grand scheme of things, when they looked at you, they said, man, this shit is boring as hell. Just the same thing as what everybody else says when they watch your content. You're just not entertaining in the ways that you would like to be. And if you were smart, you would lean into that. But your pride would not allow it.
Okay. But yeah, the boost that I had is gone. And basically now what's happened is, you know, I'm doing some content and some streams and it's just not doing as well as I hope. And that's frustrating and that is disheartening. But at the same time, it's not horrible. It's not like I'm sitting here doing streams with no one showing up and no one, engaging the content and no one supporting at all. That hasn't happened. Okay. What's happened is you get slower streams and that's okay. Like that's the natural balance of things. You're not going to have insanely sky high attendance, engagement, and support everything you do. I know that being someone of my stature and scale, I'm not a ginormous content creator. Okay. But when you put a lot of work into something and it doesn't pan out, it gets frustrating. All right. So notably, yesterday was a day when I was really disappointed with how stuff went because I feel like I actually put out a really good product yesterday, but no one really noticed. All
right. Look at this entitlement. And what Phil doesn't realize is what he's really saying is every other time I don't put any effort in. So, because why else is he pulling this out and shining such a bright light on this? He's doing that because this is the first time in a long time that he's actually put effort into something. Effort for Phil. Effort for Phil. It's the first time he actually put effort into something, and he's upset that he's not getting instant gratification. Isn't it funny how things always come back? Look at this man's face. He really thought that people cared about his opinion on video games. Phil, people have not cared about your opinion on video games for a very long time. You are a lolcow. You will never be entertaining in the ways that you would like to be. That time has passed.
All right. And what I mean by that is yesterday on the first stream, I did the most disappointing games of 2025 countdown. And then I paired that with Pokemon. All right. And I feel like maybe that was a mistake, that maybe I shouldn't have paired those two things together, that they didn't really necessarily work together.
What happened is your greed backfired on you. You were trying to treat your games countdown as like a little mini marathon from a monetary perspective. You thought it was going to be a big crowd, and you thought that you can parlay the big crowd that came from that into one of your more successful streams. And it just backfired on you entirely. And it was glorious to watch.
And I think that moving forward, what I need to do is if I'm going to do year-end series, I do year-end series. And if I'm going to do gameplay, I do gameplay. Don't try to combine them because that's going to become confusing. It's going to split the audience. People are not going to know what's going on when. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. So I didn't do a podcast yesterday, but instead what I did was the countdown of the most disappointing games, which lasted about 90 minutes roughly. I think that countdown was great. I've actually watched back a lot of it, and I was nervous it wasn't going to be a good countdown because I was doing it differently. Where we were watching clips of the games as I talked, and then I, came back over here, swung the mic this way, narrated for a bit, then I swung back, and we talked about the next game.
You see how he's highlighting the point that he swung the mic and he moved back and forth. Phil, you didn't move at all. You sat in the same spot. But according to Phil, he damn near worked overtime. Him swinging the mic was far more than he ever did, and he's not understanding why he was not paid for his services. This is so ridiculous, man, even for Phil.
In reality, watching it back, I think it looked and sounded great. I'm actually very pleased with how that came out. I hope that you guys who have watched it after the fact are liking it. I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't even looked at it overnight because like I felt like I put a lot of effort into making that work and I was hoping that it was going to do good.
You see what I mean? This man was losing sleep over this because it's been that long that he actually put effort into something that he was just knowing, you know what? I finally tried something. I finally thought about something before I did it. I should get a big reward. Only a child thinks like that. Adults know that you need consistency in order for things to pay off. You don't get things right away. You go to college, it's going to take you 4 years. You want to get good in the trades, it's going to take you about 4 years. You want to do anything, it's going to take you some time. But not for Phil. If I can't get it right away, it ain't worth having. And ultimately, that's why you don't have anything.
But the stream didn't do good. For the record, like the stream actually performed worse than a normal stream if I had just played Pokemon. All right. And that's really what hit me is, damn, I put a lot of effort into that. I thought about the worst games. You know, I got set all that up ahead of time with the video clips. I thought in my head about what I wanted to say about each game. I set it up so we could transition back and forth smoothly. I tweaked everything for that to work. I did it. Didn't really pay off at all.
And you know why it didn't pay off? Because it wasn't anything special. It was special to you because you spent time setting it up, but it really was just a derivative of something that you already do. I would liken this unto a fast food restaurant coming out with a new burger or a new taco, but when you look at it, you know, it's just a mixture of the number one with the number three, right? It's not anything actually new. It's just a version of something that they already did. And Phil, ultimately, that's what this was. Now, if you really want to switch up your content, you should probably take that selfie stick that you bought, maybe film yourself getting groceries, maybe film yourself going to get a haircut or whatever. You actually have to switch up your content, not just say you are.
Like most people are basically enjoying it, but the stream actually performed quite poorly compared to a normal Pokemon stream, which is pretty crazy to think that if I just sat here and chilled and just played Pokemon normally, it would have done better than this big event that I put effort and time into. Okay. So number one, that actually is one of the things that frustrated me, but I don't actually blame anyone but myself. I feel like the problem was I set it up for failure, pairing it with Pokemon. I should have just done one or the other, and that's my fault, I think.
And you see, this is why it's important to have persistence and understand that, no, you're not going to get what you're looking for the first time around. Seldom is that going to happen. And if you do, you're probably going to squander it anyway. This is why it's so important for you to put blood, sweat, and tears into something so you have some skin in the game. So if it's something that you're going to lose, it's going to hurt you to lose it. So therefore, you're going to protect it more. You're going to have more discipline when you're dealing with this. Phil is like a leaf in a damn wind, and he has to surrender himself to these dents online. But Phil, you have far more control over your life had you controlled the things that you could have controlled. You could have been got a therapist. You could have been going to AAA meetings. You could have been got a part-time job. All these things will not only help your mental state, but it will also give you stability financially to the point where you don't have to come onto the internet every single day and beg these people for money. And what that would do in turn is make what you're doing actually fun to you because it doesn't have this huge financial ticket attached to it to the point where if this day doesn't go well, my life isn't going to go well. How am I going to pay for this or how am I going to pay for that? Because we know you're living stream to stream. You're not convincing anybody otherwise because the second you got a bump, what did you do with the money? You squandered all of it like you always do with money. Like I said before, Phil doesn't have a money issue. He has a spending issue, and he has a spending issue because he has a discipline issue. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.